you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain!
Oh!
Hey guys, nice to meet you. Welcome back to another wrap-up. Today's wrap-up is on SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom, and Rehydrated. So I made that, the unboxing for the fun edition or whatever. That video came out in December of 2020, which as of recording is like 15 months ago or something. So it's like, I've been working on this video for too long, let's just say. So it's cool to be sitting down and actually recording it now, because I've done all the scripting, I've ironed out the collab portion, I've, done all the stuff. Now all the take guy, now it's just me. Now I gotta record and edit it. So it's all on me. It's not probably coming out the week that I'm recording this, but hopefully I'll have it all edited for the week after I'm recording this. So, but when you're seeing it, it doesn't really matter. But I hope this is done soon. It's been forever. Anyway, we're talking about some games today. So, in the process of working on this, I played through all of Rehydrated. A friend of mine, who you'll see they're part of the video, played through all of the original game. And then I took it on myself to play some other stuff related to this game, because I don't know how to stop. And really, I should probably start with my experiences with the original game first. So I'm going to let Scripted Max take that away from here. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom is a game you really wouldn't expect to be as good as it is. It's not the Citizen Kane of video games or anything, depending on who you ask, but being a good game at all is kind of a big ask for a 3D collectathon platformer in 2003, when many think the genre peaked with the first game in that genre, Mario 64. And then on top of that being a tie-in game, it's a notorious classification filled with lifeless cash grabs. It's amazing this game is even slightly good. I grew up with Battle for Bikini Bottom, there's really no good way to shorten that, for the PlayStation 2, and I'm sure some of my feelings are tainted by nostalgia, but I don't think I'd have kept going back to it if it wasn't at least kinda good. I even had the GBA port of the game. We generally try to forget that exists, but I guess since I'm already remembering, I may as well talk about it. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom released for all the major platforms back in the day, and for some reason that included the Game Boy Advance. At least I assume this hasn't been a decade-and-a-half long fever dream. My copy was part of a double pack with the Fairly Odd Parents game Breakin' Da Rules on it as well. Having sat down to play it again, it's not the worst game I ever played. The worst part about it has gotta be the music. It's all bit crushed and so loud, and someday it will probably kill me if I'm not careful. The gameplay, though, isn't total garbage. I wouldn't call it good or anything, but it's definitely enjoyable, especially if you're a dumb kid or a 23-year-old with nothing better to do. I really appreciate that it's got all its own robot designs, and honestly, Mystery looks very good here. And it's cool that she's here. Plus, this features a version of some of the cut content from the home console versions, like the Robo Squidward boss fight. I don't understand why a lot of the assets just don't mesh, though. It's as if an entirely different artist made each thing, and it's visually not a great time. I didn't really beat this one, but I have played quite a bit of it at some point in my life, and for footage gathering purposes, I just grabbed some passwords off the internet and unlocked all the levels and 100% the game so I could beat all the bosses. For getting all the Krabby Patties in the level, you get to play a bonus stage like Sonic the Hedgehog, except instead of a Chaos Emerald at the end, you get a still or a GIF from the show that's all bit crushed so it'll fit on the Game Boy Advance, and I guess that's kind of cool. Get on with it!
Yes, get on with it!
Get on with it!
Yeah. I have a surprising amount of nostalgia for this mostly terrible GBA tie-in game, and I wish some of its content, namely mystery, would have made it into the home console versions as well. However, we're gonna pretend the PC game doesn't exist. Now where was I? Ah, right. The announcement of a remake/remaster was an extremely exciting thing for me, and while it took me a long time after launch to actually get the game, I even got myself the big collector's edition. Link in the card for the unboxing to that. I wear the socks from it regularly. And here we are, making my big video on the game. However, I'll pass it back to less scripted Max over there for a bit. Thank you, scripted Max. Disclaimer for going forward, the footage from Rehydrated is split between me playing on an Xbox One, an original Xbox One, and an Xbox Series X. So there might be a little bit of variance in video quality, but hopefully not that much.
Goo Lagoon, a sun-drenched beach of sludge at the bottom of the sea. But all is not well here on Paradise.
To be upfront and honest, I did personally enjoy playing this game for most of my playthrough. It was a blast from the past with a new coat of paint, and generally played really well with my nostalgia for the original game. However, as I trucked towards 100%, I found myself increasingly disappointed. Despite the shiny coat of paint, it seemed to lack some of the polish of the original game. One of the biggest things that I've noticed is swinging with Sandy's lasso. In the original game, it functions as like a physics object where it bends with the weight of Sandy and like it just feels more dynamic, whereas in Rehydrated, it's just like this stock, very stiff animation that doesn't really react to your inputs as the player. Visually, I've also noticed issues here and there. Like, I had an issue where I thought a spatula just didn't show up. But the thing was that in Rehydrated, the spatulas don't stand out against the background as much. So it just was there, and I didn't see it. In addition to that, there's some issues with low render distance in some areas. There's issues with the teleport boxes just not behaving the same as the original game. Plus, the hitboxes on them are iffy to where you can just stand on top of them, which you're not supposed to be able to really do. I don't think. And in some cases, I've just seen floating enemies. And in one instance, there was a teleport box that had been swapped with an enemy spawner. At its core, it's pretty much the same game, but despite the shiny coat of paint it's got, it's just less detailed and polished than a game from 2003. I played the multiplayer mode for a little bit, but like, it's barely worth talking about because it barely functions. We played through for a while, we got to a thing, and it just sort of seemed to like close itself. I don't know what happened there. It just sort of, the multiplayer mode just stopped working. I couldn't interact with it. It was like, okay, am I supposed to be, I don't know. Don't know what that was.
Are you ready, kids?
Personally, I've said this in other videos, I think the blame here, not necessarily the publisher, but the rights holder. Nickelodeon, Viacom, I believe are the ones at fault here. Because the Destroy All Humans remake, same publisher. Different developer, same publisher. That's a great remake. Same publisher, different developer. And this just has gotten no support post-launch. There were like 3 updates for the versions that went to consoles. I don't understand what's up with this. There 3 updates for the PC and console versions. And then I guess Nick was just like, we don't want to give you money anymore, so stop developing the game. Like, I don't understand. I don't know what happened here to where like Like, it seems like Nick rushed development to coincide with a movie that they delayed, and then just didn't continue to give money for the game to be at least updated to a decent state. Because, I mean, it's playable, it's not, like, broken, but it's sort of, like, less good than the original game somehow. Despite looking, you know, wildly better, like, it overall just is a worse product. I recommend Battle for Bikini Bottom, but I'm not sure that I can recommend Rehydrated. It's just sort of disappointing. Yeah, it was disappointing to say the least. You know who else was disappointed? My friend and colleague, resident cursed image hoarder, artist, and fellow Battle for Bikini Bottom enthusiast, Beth Morton. I'm being told it's actually pronounced Beth Morton. But anyway, she's got her own opinions, so I'll give her the floor.
Hey everybody. Today, I'm stealing airtime on Max's channel to give you the top 8 minor differences with Rehydrated that isolated wouldn't make that big of a deal, but collectively make it a lesser experience and make me not want to play this version of the game anymore. Number 1. Missing sound effects. Despite still using it for the Ferris wheel collapse on the pier, Patrick's gramophone is missing from his house and doesn't play the short carnival music loop. Squidward no longer yells at you when the super fuzzy mustache texture loads in.
Hi!
The sound of fruit and bounce pads hitting the floor are missing. Large mechanical pieces like turbines don't creak anymore. Prawn's disco floor is mixed completely differently, so it's barely audible. Double jumps are silent on slides. RoboPatrick sits down like he's made out of paper, and his goo valve is equally quiet.
Oh, and the robot is down! Look at that! The robot's made himself dizzy! The robot better change tactics and fast!
Shorter length slides are missing the rock song, but the level music still fades out, so it's left in an awkward pause. Number 2. Missing or broken animations. The checkpoint boxes don't close and spit you out, and instead just fade from black, with you standing beside them. The loading animation doesn't loop bubbles continuously, but raises the screen's worth of them before putting a tiny logo in the bottom corner for a still screen. The floors in the downtown Bikini Bottom challenge tower don't collapse into puzzle pieces, and only disappear in a blink. Number 3. Design changes. I don't have enough game design knowledge to explain how or why, but the camera just feels very weird to me. I played both versions back to back and it just feels wrong. SpongeBob's posing is more rigid to match with the current show's style and it feels less dynamic for it. The menu design is needlessly complex and the level music doesn't stop to let the ambiance play out on its own. Wall jumps replace the charming little sponge doodle with white double arrows recycled from the treadmills. The visual timer on throw fruits just warns you when you're close to out of time, rather than a gauge for how much time you have left, and blinks in a harsh strobe-like effect. Advancing dialogue has a weird tick noise.
First, those stupid robots ruined a perfectly relaxing mud bath this morning, and now you show up. Can my day get any more dreary?
I am so sorry, Squidward. Patrick and I were just playing a game and...
Oh, I correct myself. I should have known that whole robot problem involved both of you.
The Dream Level skyboxes give off a different vibe. All the memes. Number 4. Graphical glitches and crunch limitations. Not to recycle the old and tired joke, but Sand Mountain is out here looking like Silent Hill. The draw distance is crazy short in some areas. Details in environment destruction like the TP'd trees and scorch marks are absent in some spots. The big sandcastle is missing its first cannon and the firing physics have changed. Objects pop and load like I'm watching Gary spin out at the Bikini Bottom snail race. The Flying Dutchman isn't transparent. It's not clear that you can unlock the theater, and instead of concept art and cut content, it's just in-game screenshots they charge you $40,000 for. Number 5. Platforming and gameplay changes. The Whack-A-Tiki minigame at the pier makes them all pop out at once instead of one at a time like the Whack-A-Mole arcade game it's trying to copy. The platforms outside the downtown Bikini Bottom Tower exit are missing their ice physics, so the sock at the top has no challenge to reach it. Sandy's lasso acts less like a swing and more like a grapple pole, so your approach to hooks has no flow or momentum. The floating jet platforms in the Dutchman's graveyard don't collapse. Number 6. Liberties with attack patterns. Projectiles are really unnecessarily marked with giant red circles that feel less immersive. Roboplankton shoots fewer blasts and doesn't telegraph when he's about to fire with a charging sound. Number 7. Robot design interpretations. G-Love makes a completely different set of sounds and doesn't indicate when one's seen you as clearly.
Take that!
Chompbots have an added jump noise.
I feel like a new sponge!
RoboSponge's new design impacts her sense of scale immensely, since we can't see the platforms inside her eyes and the chum bucket interior outside them. The speaker mesh texture in her mouth is also missing. And Chuck isn't friend-shaped anymore! Look what they did to my poor boy! Number 8. Don't ask questions you aren't prepared to handle the answer to. Soiled it, Mrs. Puff! He soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it! Okay. Alright. I'm definitely being a little nitpicky with some of my complaints. But I'm just so frustrated that all of these tiny little things that wouldn't have made that big of a deal isolated just snowballed into an experience that feels too different from the original. And it's not like all their design changes were bad either. The new bright and cartoony graphics mostly look fantastic, while still being honest to the feel the original gave off. Sandy's lasso is snappier with its attacks and leaves you vulnerable for less frames. Even though I don't personally like sneaking being mapped to a button instead of the joystick, I have to admit it's less finicky. The wide open mouth on the stone tiki pressure plates might look a bit strange on its own, but it looks so much better for the tikis to fit snug inside than to just awkwardly sit on the nose. The lighting in the kelp forest in general is way less confusing and dark, so it's much easier to see where you are and what you're doing. The wall jump snaps were a massive pain point in the original, so I appreciate there being less jank to them. The concept art in the original museum was cool, sure, but the custom-made classical paintings in the new one are awesome. And pushing the credits to the side of the SpongeBob bonus stage was a great change so you can see what you're doing without being obscured by text. We came so close to a great remaster, but there just is too much holding it back. What I wanted out of this edition was the exact same play experience, just with updated graphics. I'm sure Max and I are ultimately going to come to the same conclusion, so thanks for the time slot, and I'll give the floor back to them now.
Thanks, Beth. If you haven't already, go check out Beth. She did the new art for the channel, and she's pretty good at drawing, I'd have to say. Links in the description, check those out. So yeah, well, it's cool to have a version of the game that's easily accessible to modern audiences, especially since we've had kind of a minor collectathon revival in the past few years. It really sucks that I cannot point to this game as the definitive version. I still have to call either the PlayStation 2 or the GameCube, even if I haven't personally played the GameCube version. I imagine it's comparable to the PlayStation 2 version. One of those versions would have to be the one that I recommend people play. Though, hey, that mobile port of Rehydrated, apparently that gets updated, and that might be the definitive version. No idea, haven't played it. I'm not going to buy that. I don't play games on my phone enough to purchase any, so I guess only time will tell what the definitive version of Battle for Bikini Bottom will be. So yeah, that's the video. Whoa. Don't know why this took like 15 months to make, but it sure did. Down in the description, find all sorts of links to all sorts of places. Patreon, Bandcamp, Redbubble, Twitter, links. Click follow, do the things you do there. Like the video if you liked it, dislike the video if you didn't. If you like this and want to keep up with this and other shows, give the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Battle for Bikini Bottom. Is this something that you played when you were younger? Is it something that you played recently? Have you played Rehydrated version? Have you played the Game Boy Advanced version? Leave a comment. Let me know. Share the video. Do the things. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Fine. What do I care? I'm a wreck anyways. I try and get some exercise to relax from all this robot mess, and now everything is ruined.
Because of a toothbrush?
No, it's those blasted robots! They've taken over the ski slopes! How can I ski with those ugly things beating everyone up? Listen, SpongeBob, you've gotta help me! I'm gonna lose my marbles if I don't get some relaxation!
I found if you keep your marbles in a bag, they don't get lost as often. In fact, I've got mine right here. It's embroidered with this lovely...
Forget the marbles! I've got a better idea. If you get rid of the robots at the bottom of every slope for me, I'll give you one of those golden spatulas.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to beat the extreme fun of marbles.
Okay, I'll give you one for each slope you clear.
Now that's a deal!